Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching.
Look, messing with Buster Brown this morning. First thing we're going to do is work on replacing the heater core in this car. He's whining about that one not having a reverse, so he's going to have to put a transmission in that one, which I think is very low mileage on that one. How many miles? 118,000. And then that's the blue one that he's already got pretty much ready to go, other than tires, unless he put tires on it last week. So let's go ahead and drain the coolant out of this one and get started on this heater core. Going in here, you got very minor evidence of leakage, but that is evidence of leakage. Heck, that coolant almost looks pretty fresh there. So let's go ahead and get this heater core out of here. I'm going to drain the coolant out of the front of the car. Looks like this heater core, I don't know if it was in here this long, but it's got a 95 date on it. Bottom of it's real dark, and it seemed like it was leaking from the seal. The screw wasn't too tight. Nonetheless, they don't have very long, but heck, this one don't look like it was leaking from the seams. But at this age, you don't want to push them. But this pretty low mileage car, I think it only has about 140,000. But this could be old stock as well. So that's the original one there. See how dark it's gotten, especially on the bottom. And that's the new one there. And we're going to go ahead and mark the wings of it so that we can have the date sticking out where you can see it easy. And those are crimped with aluminum. Pull the old seals off the tubes, put the new seals on there. I actually tightened it up with a 1/4-inch ratchet because you don't want it to leak at all. And then I dated the end of it 2015, so if somebody glanced, they'll know it's been replaced recently. All done with Buster Brown's heater core. Going home to have breakfast. Starting off the day with the raspberry car. I'm going to wash this oil off the back of it that I caused with that turbo drain line leak. And I'm going to see if it's whistling like the other one was. So I'm going to rev it up and let it come off the rev and see if it's whistling. So let me rev it up to about 3,000 and see if I can hear that. Yeah, I can hear that just a little bit, so that may be normal. Didn't sound as bad as the other one, but it did whistle a little. The owner said he was getting some kind of 440 code, so I'm going to get back here by the fuel filter and see if I can find any evaporator leaks, like a J-hose or anything like that. So let me put it on ramps and get under there and see if I can find anything leaking with the evap system. I'm down here by the fuel filter, and I believe this hose here is the usual culprit of having a crack in it and leaking air, causing that code. I don't see any damage on this one, so I'm going to look around a little more, see if I can find anything else that appears to be damaged or cracked. I looked at a few of the different hoses down here, even the one that breaks off there and goes that way, and I don't see any hoses down here cracked or split or broken. So I'm going to go under the hood and look. I'm also going to put my code reader on there and try to read codes to see if I see any pending codes. I got no codes and no pending codes, and I've driven the car about 200 miles, I guess, so I don't know what to tell them. I'm going to look at the lines on top of the fuel tank from the access panel where you go in for the fuel pump, and I'm going to check under the hood. Pulled up the carpet, pulled up these two panels, and I really don't see much of any vacuum lines or tubes coming up here that are accessible through these two panels. So I'm going to close this back up. And unfortunately, I didn't see anything under the engine compartment either, and I don't have the exact code. So we'll see if code comes back. Hopefully he'll give me the exact code and I could do some research on it from there. Let me close these two panels. On this carpet in this trunk area, you got 3 clips up top and 1 underneath the flap there to get that moved out of the way to access the fuel panel. When I initially went and checked on this car several days ago about this oil consumption problem, the coolant reservoir cap was cracked, so I replaced it, got that topped off, and as tight as possible. It looks like the owner may be mixing coolant types, and this coolant hose back here is leaking just a little bit, so I'll let him know about that. So let me wash this car off, get the oil off the back of it mainly, and go check on Buster Brown. Somebody's supposed to come look at his 850 today, and he asked me to be there with him. Picked up my battery from the low-hanging fruit and decided to go a different way from the way I normally go, and found my steakhouse place. The place that Chelsea is, the place that I get my Philly cheesesteaks from. They moved to a different location. They didn't even have that on their door, so I'll be visiting soon. We're going to swap the steering wheel on this 2000, I think it's a 2001 P2 Volvo XC V70. We're going to put this steering wheel on it that I got from a 05 XC90. First thing you do is go under the back floor, access the battery, and disconnect the negative battery cable. 10 millimeter. Then you take your Torx, take your collar loose. You got 3 T25 Torx there.
Alright, come in.
With this wheel, I don't even think you have to take this collar loose, because you have a torque in there on both sides. When you take those 2 torque loose, it releases the horn pad control assembly here, the airbag assembly, and then you can unplug the airbag and the controls for the entertainment system, and then you have your mounting bolt down in there to remove the rest of the wheel. So on these early P2 cars, or maybe all the P2 cars, you don't even have to take the collar off. Once those screws are on the side or loose, you just pop this thing out. Now, when you're going back in, you line it up. It's got a guide here and a guide on the other side. You set those guides on, then you have to pop it in. And once it's popped in, then the screw, which you see there, will be lined up with the screw hole on the locking tab, and then you can screw it in and secure it. So let me set it in place, pop it in, and then secure it. This was a little difficult going on, but when I hooked the driver's side in first, the passenger side fell in place. When I tried to set it straight on, it wouldn't maneuver and hook on right. So the pad's in place. Let me go ahead and tighten those screws up to secure it. Then I'm going to put the collar back on. I'll show you how to remove this bezel from around the cluster so that you can access the removing the cluster, or just to replace this bezel. Some people like to change that out for the wood grain style one. Now this bezel has 1, 2, 3 clips across the top and 2 across the bottom. So what you really need to do is take a bone tool or something, pry it in the dash, pop these loose, and pull it forward. Your bone tool is designed to not to damage the soft dash stuff. So a flat tip bone tool surface pries in there and pulls that forward, and it doesn't damage the dash. So work your way around the top of it, get that out, and then work your way around the bottom of it, pulling that out. And now, as you can see, it pops loose from the bottom collar. And you can just pop this loose from the bottom collar before you work this top part off. And now you have access to your cluster. You got 2 screws on one side and 2 screws on the other side, and they both look like T25s. So we're going to replace this bezel with one with the wood grain. Make sure your replacement bezel has all the clips in place. If it doesn't, take one off of the old cluster, set it in place, and clip it in, and then I'll show you how to snap this in place over the lower collar. Line it up, push the bottom 2 in first, then pop the top 3 in place. So you see those collars have those little snaps. They snap down into those areas on the lower collar. So snap that in place and you should be good to go. Alright, so you got your guides and your clips. So make sure your guides are lined up and your clips before you go pushing on it, or you'll break those tabs. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.